The laughter began before Lena had even finished walking toward the man she was about to marry. It was not loud enough to stop the small courthouse ceremony, but it was loud enough for her to hear. She could have chosen anyone. A woman whispered from the back row, and she chose a single father in a wheelchair. Another replied, "What kind of future can he give her?" Lena paused for half a second. At the front of the room, Ethan Cole sat in a dark suit, one hand resting on the wheel of his chair. His 8-year-old daughter Maya stood beside him holding a small bunch of white flowers. His 6-year-old son Ben kept adjusting the little blue tie Lena had helped him choose. Ethan had heard the whispers too. His face remained calm, but Lena saw his fingers tighten around the wheel. She continued walking when she reached him. Ethan looked up and quietly said, "You can still change your mind." Lena placed her hand over his. "I changed my mind a long time ago," she answered. Ethan looked worried. Lena smiled. "I stopped caring what people thought." The judge began the ceremony, but the people in the back continued exchanging looks. They saw a young woman marrying a widowed father who used a wheelchair. They did not know the real story. They did not know who Ethan truly was. 3 years earlier, Ethan's life had changed on a rainy highway outside the city. He had been driving home with his wife, Rachel, after attending a charity dinner. Their children were staying with Rachel's mother for the NIGHTA truck lost control on the wet road and crossed into their lane. Ethan remembered the bright headlights. He remembered Rachel shouting his name. Then everything went dark. When Ethan woke in the hospital, he could not feel his legs. A doctor stood beside his bed and explained that his spinal injury was serious. Ethan might never walk again. But that was not the worst news. Rachel had died before reaching the hospital. Ethan had stared at the doctor without speaking. He could hear machines beeping around him, but the room felt completely silent. His first thought was not about his legs. It was about Maya and Ben. Maya was 5 at the time. Ben was only 3. "How do I tell them?" Ethan whispered. No doctor had an answer before the accident. Ethan had been the founder and chief executive officer of Coal Meridian Group, one of the largest logistics and technology companies in the country. His company managed shipping networks, warehouses, medical deliveries, and transport software used by thousands of businesses. Financial magazines estimated his personal fortune at more than $3 billion. But after Rachel's death, money became meaningless to him. He stepped away from public life and allowed his trusted business partner, Richard Hale, to handle daily operations. Ethan continued making major decisions through private video meetings, but he stopped attending public events. He also moved from his large city estate to a simple, accessible house in Cedar Grove, the small town where Rachel had grown up. He wanted Maya and Ben to have quiet streets, a familiar school, and a life that did not feel surrounded by bodyguards, cameras, and wealthy strangers. Most people in Cedar Grove knew Ethan only as a remote business consultant. He dressed simply. He drove an older, accessible van. He never discussed money. He wanted his children to be treated like ordinary children. Life inside the house was not ordinary. However, every morning began before sunrise. Ethan transferred himself from bed to his wheelchair, prepared breakfast, packed to school lunches, checked Ben's asthma inhaler, and reminded Maya to take her reading folder. Some mornings went well, other mornings did not. One Tuesday, Ben spilled orange juice over his school project while Maya cried because she could not find Rachel's old bracelet. Ethan tried to calm both children while the eggs burned in the pan. "Dad, Ben ruined everything," Maya shouted. "I didn't mean to," Ben cried. Ethan turned off the stove and took a slow breath. "Maya, your brother made a mistake." "Ben, get a towel. We are fixing the project together." "We're going to be late," Maya said. "Then we'll be late together." He spoke calmly, but inside he felt tired and guilty. Before the accident, Rachel had handled school mornings with a patience Ethan had never fully appreciated. Now he had to be both parents. He learned to braid Maya's hair after watching online videos. His first attempts were uneven, and Maya once looked in the mirror and said, "It looks like a frightened snake." Ethan had laughed for the first time in weeks. Ben still sometimes woke at night asking whether his mother knew where they lived. Ethan would pull him close and say, "She knew where your heart was. That means she could never really lose you." Lena Morris entered their lives at Cedar Grove Elementary School. She worked as the school librarian and helped organize reading programs for younger children. Their first real meeting happened during a school book fair. Ben had forgotten his inhaler in Ethan's van. While running between tables, he suddenly stopped and began struggling to breathe. Teachers called for help. Ethan was across the hall, speaking with Maya's teacher when he heard the panic. By the time he reached the library, Lena was already kneeling beside Ben. "Look at me," she said gently. "Slow breaths. Your dad is coming." Ethan rolled toward them, his heart pounding. "The inhaler is in the van," he said. "I'll get it," another teacher offered. Lena stayed beside Ben, keeping him calm until the inhaler arrived. When his breathing returned to normal, Ben leaned against Ethan's chest. Ethan looked at Lena. "Thank you," she smiled. He was very brave. Ben shook his head. "I was scared." "You can be scared and brave at the same time," Lena told him. That sentence stayed with Ethan. After that day, Lena became someone the children trusted. Maya started staying after school to help her arrange library books. Ben searched for her every morning just to tell her a new joke. Ethan began seeing Lena during pickup. She never stared at his wheelchair. She never offered help without asking, and she never spoke to him in the careful, overly gentle voice people often used after learning about his accident. One afternoon, Ethan's wheelchair lift stopped working outside the school. Rain began falling while he tried to restart it. Lena walked over with an umbrella. "Do you need help?" she asked. "I need a new lift," Ethan replied. "That might take longer than I have." He laughed. Together they called roadside assistance. Lena stayed with the children until help arrived. During that hour they talked about books, parenting, and Rachel. Ethan was surprised by how easy it felt. Lena did not try to replace the woman he had lost. She simply listened. Over the next year, their friendship grew. Lena joined the family for simple dinners. She helped Maya prepare for a school play and taught Ben how to make pancakes without covering the entire kitchen in flour. Ethan tried not to fall in love with her, feared the children would become attached and lose someone again. He also feared Lena might one day understand how demanding his life really was. During a quiet evening on the porch, he finally told her, "Being with me is not simple." Lena looked toward the children playing in the yard. "Nothing important is simple. I have therapy, medical appointments, 2 children who still miss their mother. Some days I need help with things I wish I didn't." Lena turned toward him. "Are you warning me or pushing me away?" Ethan looked down. "Maybe both." She reached for his hand. "I don't feel sorry for you, Ethan. I respect you. There is a difference." That was the moment he stopped hiding from what he felt. 6 months later, Ethan proposed in the school, the library where they had first met. Maya cried. Ben asked if Lena would still make pancakes after the wedding. Lena said yes to both questions, but when news of their engagement spread through town, so did the judgment. Some people believed Lena was marrying Ethan because she was lonely. Others thought she was sacrificing her future. Lena's aunt openly told her, "You will spend your entire life taking care of him and his children." Lena answered, "They take care of me too." Still, the comments hurt Ethan. The night before the wedding, he sat alone in his home office, after the children were asleep. On one screen was a private report showing Coal Meridian Group's latest earnings. On another was a photograph of Rachel. Ethan had never told Lena the full extent of his wealth. She knew he owned a company and worked from home, but she believed it was a comfortable, medium-sized business. Ethan had planned to tell her before the wedding, but each time he tried, fear stopped him. He had met too many people whose behavior changed after learning how much money he had. Lena loved the man who packed lunches, struggled with broken lifts, and worried about school projects. He did not want billions of dollars to change the way she looked at him. Yet keeping the truth hidden felt wrong. He picked up his phone and called Richard. "I need to tell her," Ethan said. "You should have told her months ago," Richard replied. "I know. Then do it before the ceremony." Ethan looked at Rachel's picture. "What if it changes everything?" Richard was silent for a moment. "Then at least you will know what was real." But the next morning became chaotic. Ben developed a fever. The courthouse changed their ceremony time. Maya's dress tore. Ethan's wheelchair battery began losing power. The confession never happened. Now, as the judge asked Lena to repeat her vows, Ethan wondered whether he was beginning their marriage with a lie. For the first few weeks after the wedding, life felt peaceful. Lena moved into the Cedar Grove house and did not try to change everything at once. She kept Rachel's photographs where they were. She asked Maya before moving anything in her room. She listened when Ben spoke about his mother. One evening, Maya quietly asked, "Do I have to call you Mom now?" Lena sat beside her on the bed. "No, you can call me Lena forever." "Would it hurt your feelings?" "Not even a little." Maya looked relieved. After a moment, she leaned against Lena's shoulder. "I'm glad you're here." Lena smiled through tears. "I'm glad to." Ethan watched from the doorway and felt something inside him begin to heal. But outside their home, the gossip continued. At the grocery store, 2 women whispered when Lena helped Ethan place bags in the van. At a school event, a father joked that Ethan had found himself a full-time nurse. Ethan replied calmly, "I married a librarian." "You seem confused." Lena laughed, but later she noticed how quiet he became. The greatest pressure came from her family. Her older sister, Julia, invited them to a formal anniversary dinner at a luxury hotel. Lena did not want to go, but Ethan encouraged her. "You should not lose your family because of me," he said. "They are the ones creating the problem. Then let them see us as we are." The hotel ballroom was filled with business owners, lawyers, and local politicians. Ethan wore a simple dark suit and arrived in his wheelchair beside Lena. Some guests looked at him with pity. Others barely acknowledged him. Julia's husband, Marcus, owned a struggling real estate company and liked reminding everyone that he was a businessman. During dinner, he asked Ethan, "So, what exactly do you do from home?" "I work in transportation systems," Ethan answered. Marcus smiled in a condescending way. "Customer service?" "Not exactly. Consulting. Something like that." Marcus laughed. Well, at least working from home is convenient in your situation. Lena put down her fork. What situation? Marcus looked uncomfortable. I only meant mobility. No, Lena said. You meant you think his life is smaller because he uses a wheelchair. Ethan touched her arm. It's fine. It isn't fine. The table fell silent. Julia sighed. Lena, must you turn everything into an argument? I did not start this. Marcus leaned back. We're only worried about you. You used to have plans. Travel, graduate school, a career. Now your life is school pickups and medical appointments. Lena looked at Ethan, then at Maya and Ben seated nearby. My life is not on hold. This is my life. Marcus shook his head. You could have done better. Ethan's expression changed. He had tolerated insults about himself, but he would not allow Lena to be treated as foolish for loving him. He placed his napkin on the table. We should leave. On their way out, Maya whispered, Dad, are they ashamed of us? Ethan stopped. He looked at his daughter and felt his anger turn into pain. No, he said. They do not understand us yet. But Maya's question stayed with him. That same night, Ethan received an urgent call from Richard Cole. Meridian Group was facing a serious crisis. A regional director had approved unsafe, cost-cutting measures at several medical supply warehouses. Temperature records had been altered, placing important medicines at risk. Richard wanted Ethan to return publicly and lead the investigation. If you remain hidden, the board will control the story, Richard warned. Employees may lose their jobs, hospitals may lose confidence, and Marcus Vale is trying to buy shares through a group of investors. Ethan froze. Marcus, yes, your new brother-in-law has been telling investors that Cole Meridian has weak leadership. Ethan looked toward the bedroom where Lena was helping Ben settle down. Does he know I own the company? Not yet. Ethan rubbed his forehead. He had built Cole Meridian from a small delivery service into a global business. Thousands of families depended on it. He could no longer manage everything from a quiet office in Cedar Grove. I'll come to headquarters tomorrow, he said. The next morning, Ethan told Lena he needed to spend several days in the city because of an emergency at work. She noticed the tension in his face. How serious is it? Is there anything you haven't told me? The question landed harder than she knew. Ethan hesitated. Lena waited. Finally he said, there are parts of my business life I kept separate because I wanted to protect the children. And protect yourself. Yes, from me. Ethan looked at her. No, but it probably feels that way. Lena crossed her arms. What exactly are you hiding? Before Ethan could answer, Maya called from upstairs. Ben had knocked over a glass of water, and they were already late for school. The conversation ended unfinished. Ethan traveled to the city with Richard at the company's glass headquarters. Employees stood when he entered the main lobby. Many had not seen him in person since the accident. Some looked shocked by the wheelchair. Others applauded. Ethan raised a hand. Please sit down. We have work to do. For 3 days, he reviewed records, interviewed managers, and contacted affected hospitals. He ordered an independent investigation and suspended the regional director responsible for altering safety reports. He also refused the board's advice to hide the problem. We will tell the truth, Ethan said. If medicine was mishandled, hospitals must know immediately. The decision could cost the company millions, but Ethan knew protecting people mattered more than protecting the share price back in Cedar Grove. Lena struggled alone. Ben's fever returned. Maya got into an argument at school after another child called Ethan helpless. The accessible van would not start. Lena called Ethan several times, but he was constantly in meetings. When they finally spoke, his voice sounded distant. I'm sorry, he said. I cannot leave yet. Ben is sick. Maya is crying, and the van is broken. I'll send someone. I don't want you to send someone. I want you to tell me what is happening. Ethan closed his eyes. I will explain everything when I get home. You keep saying that I'm trying to protect the company. And what about your family? The words hurt both of them. Ethan returned home late the following night. Lena was sitting at the kitchen table surrounded by unpaid school forms, medicine bottles, and a repair estimate for the van. Ethan rolled inside. I'm sorry. Lena looked exhausted. Who are you? He stared at her. That's not fair, isn't it? I married you without knowing where you really go, who calls you at midnight, or why people at your company need your approval for decisions worth millions. Ethan's face became still. Lena placed a business magazine on the table. His photograph was on the cover. The headline read, Billionaire founder Ethan Cole returns to save his global EMP. She had found the article online after seeing his name mentioned in a news report. Below the headline was an estimated net worth of $3.2 billion. Ethan looked at the magazine but said nothing. Lena's voice trembled. You are not a consultant. No, you own Cole Meridian Group. Yes. You are a billionaire. Yes. She stood from the table. How could you marry me without telling me this? I was going to win after 5 years, after 10. I was afraid. Lena laughed once, but there was no humor in it. Afraid I would want your money. I have seen money change people. So you tested me. No, that is exactly what you did. You let me defend you while people laughed. You watched my family treat you like you had nothing. And all that time, you knew you could buy the hotel we were standing in. It wasn't like that. What was it like? Ethan's voice broke. I wanted one person to love me before they knew what I owned. Lena's eyes filled with tears. I did love you. She wiped her face, but you did not trust me. Ethan looked toward the hallway, afraid the children might hear. I trusted you with my children, but not with the truth. He had no answer. Lena walked toward the stairs. I need space. Please don't leave. I am not leaving the children. That isn't what I meant. Stopped, but did not turn around. Ethan continued. I know I was wrong, Lena whispered. You made me feel like a fool. Then she went upstairs. The next morning, the crisis became worse. News crews arrived outside the house after reporters discovered Ethan's marriage. Headlines appeared online. Billionaire CEO secretly marries small-town librarian. Did she know about his fortune? Mystery bride joins billionaire female wife. Photographers gathered near the school. Lena was accused of marrying Ethan for money. The same people who had mocked her for marrying a poor, disabled father now mocked her for marrying a rich one at school. Maya heard another child say Lena was only pretending to love them. She ran from class in tears. Ethan went to bring her home in the empty school library. He found Maya sitting beneath a table, hugging her knees. Come out, sweetheart. She shook her head. They said Lena is going to leave when she gets your money. That isn't true. They said everyone leaves us. Ethan's heart broke. He transferred himself carefully from his wheelchair to the floor beside her. It was difficult and painful. What he wanted to be at her level. But he wanted to be at her level. Did you lie to Lena? Ethan swallowed. Yes, because I was scared. You always tell me not to lie when I'm scared. He closed his eyes. You're right. Maya began crying. I don't want to lose another mum. Ethan pulled her into his arms. Neither of them noticed Lena standing at the library entrance. She had come after receiving a call from the school. She heard every word. When Maya saw her, she ran across the room and held her tightly. Please don't leave us. Lena knelt and hugged her. I am not leaving because of you. Maya pulled back because of Dad. Lena looked at Ethan. His eyes were filled with shame. That evening, Ethan made a decision. He called Richard and told him to arrange a press conference at Coal Meridian headquarters. Richard asked, what are you planning? To stop hiding. The following morning, Ethan entered the company's main auditorium before hundreds of employees and reporters. Lena watched from home with Maya and Ben. Ethan rolled toward the microphone alone. He did not wear an expensive designer suit. He wore the same dark jacket he had worn to school, meetings and family dinners. Cameras flashed. Ethan began by discussing the warehouse investigation. We discovered serious failures in the handling of medical supplies, he said. We reported the issue to every affected hospital and government agency. No confirmed patient harm has been found, but that does not excuse what happened. He announced that Coal Meridian would pay for independent testing, replace all affected supplies, and protect employees who had reported safety concerns. Then he addressed his personal life. My family did not ask to become part of this story, Ethan said. My wife has been judged by people who know nothing about her. Reporters leaned forward. She married me believing I was a father with a modest home, a demanding job, to grieving children, and a wheelchair. She loved my family before she knew anything about my wealth. Lena covered her mouth. Ethan continued. I hid the truth because I was afraid money would change how she saw me. Instead, my fear changed how honestly I treated her. I broke her trust, and no amount of money can repair that for me. The room became quiet. I will not use my position to ask for forgiveness. Forgiveness is not something powerful people can purchase. I can only tell the truth, accept responsibility, and prove through my choices that I deserve another chance. After the press conference, Ethan returned to Cedar Grove. He did not bring flowers, jewelry, or an expensive gift. He brought a cardboard box filled with documents. Lena was waiting on the porch. What is that? She asked. The truth. They went inside and sat at the kitchen table. Ethan showed her everything. His ownership records. His salary. His assets. The trusts created for Maya and Ben. The legal agreements protecting the children. The charities he and Rachel had founded. Also showed Lena a letter written before their wedding but never given to her. In it, he had tried to explain his fear of being loved for his wealth. Lena read silently when she finished. She said, why didn't you give me this? Because fear was easier than honesty. She looked at him. You embarrassed me. No, you made choices for me instead of trusting me to make them. I think need more than an apology. Ethan nodded. Then tell me what you need. Lena took a breath. No more secrets. No protecting me from facts that affect our family. I need a voice in decisions about our home, the children, the company, when it touches our lives, and the attention that comes with your name. You have it. I also want our old routine back. Ethan looked confused. What do you mean? Breakfast together, school pickup when possible, homework, bedtime stories. You cannot return to the city and become a stranger who sends people to solve every problem. I don't want that either. You may be responsible for thousands of employees, but Maya and Ben still need their father. Ethan nodded. And you need a husband who is present. Lena's eyes softened slightly. Yes, Ethan looked down at his hands. I cannot promise I will. Never be afraid again. I'm not asking you to. I can promise I will not hide behind fear. For several days, Lena remained cautious. She continued caring for the children, but she did not pretend the marriage was fully healed. Ethan understood trust had to be rebuilt through ordinary moments. He began by changing how he worked. Instead of returning permanently to headquarters, he created a schedule that allowed him to work from Cedar Grove most days and travel only when necessary. He appointed an independent safety officer at Cole Meridian who reported directly to the board. He also created stronger protections for employees who reported misconduct. Richard supported the changes. Marcus did not. After the press conference, Marcus's investment plan collapsed. Reporters discovered that his group had been spreading rumors about Cole Meridian while trying to buy company shares at a lower price. His own investors abandoned him a week later. Marcus came to Ethan's house. Lena opened the door. I need to speak with Ethan, Marcus said. Ethan entered the living room. Marcus looked embarrassed. I did not know who you were, Ethan. Expression remained calm. That was never the real problem. Marcus shifted his weight. I may have said things I shouldn't have. You mocked my disability. You questioned my ability to support my family. You insulted Lena for choosing me. I thought you did not think. You measured a man's value by what you believed he earned and what his body could do. Marcus looked away. Ethan continued. When you thought I had little money, you treated me like I had little worth. When you learned I was wealthy, you came to apologize. That tells me your apology is for the billionaire, not the man. Marcus had no response. Lena stood beside Ethan. You should go, she said. Marcus left quietly. The moment mattered to Lena. Ethan had not used his wealth to humiliate Marcus. He had simply told the truth. Over the next month, the attention around the family slowly decreased. The company's investigation found that the warehouse failures had been limited to one region. All affected medicines were safely replaced, and the employees who had exposed the problem were promoted. Ethan's honest response strengthened public trust in Cole Meridian, but the more important changes happened at home. One Saturday morning, Ethan was making pancakes while Ben poured far too much syrup into a bowl. That is enough, Ethan warned. It needs more. It is no longer breakfast. It is a late. Maya laughed. Lena entered the kitchen and saw flour on Ethan's sleeve. You missed a spot, she said. Only one. She smiled. It was the first easy smile she had given him in weeks. Later, Ethan asked if she would join him on the porch. He had placed no expensive decorations there, only 2 cups of coffee. I have something to ask, he said. Lena raised an eyebrow. If this is another proposal, we are already married. I know. He took her hand. I am asking whether you are willing to begin again. Not forget, not pretend. Begin again with the truth. Lena looked toward the yard, where Maya and Ben were chasing each other. Did not marry your bank account, she said. I know. I also did not marry a helpless man. I know that too. I married a father who makes terrible braids, burns eggs, tells bad jokes, and keeps going when life hurts. Ethan smiled. That sounds accurate, but that man disappeared when he became afraid. His smile faded. I'm trying to come back. Lena squeezed his hand. Then come back every day. He nodded. Will? She leaned forward and rested her forehead against his. I forgive you, she whispered. But trust will take time. I will give it all the time it needs. Months later, Ethan and Lena returned to the same courthouse where people had laughed during their wedding. This time, they were attending the adoption hearing that would make Lena Maya and Ben's legal mother. Lena had never tried to erase Rachel. She had helped the children remember her through photographs, stories, and birthday traditions. The adoption was not a replacement. It was a promise that Lena intended to stay when the judge approved the adoption. Ben jumped into her arms. Can I call you Mom now? Lena began crying. You can call me anything that feels right. Ben smiled. Mom feels right. Maya hugged them both. Ethan watched from his wheelchair. Unable to speak. In the back row sat Julia, who had apologized and begun rebuilding her relationship with Lena. There was no laughter this time, only tears. Outside the courthouse, reporters waited at a distance, but Ethan had requested privacy. The family took one photograph together. Not for magazines, not for company news, for their living room that evening. They returned to the Cedar Grove house. Maya placed the courthouse photograph beside an older picture of Rachel. Do you think Mom would be happy? She asked Ethan. He looked at both photographs. Yes, he said softly. I think she would be happy that love found us again. Lena stood beside him and rested a hand on his shoulder. Ethan had once believed his wheelchair, grief, and responsibilities made him difficult to love. Lena had once believed love alone could survive without complete honesty. Had both learned something deeper, real. Love was not pity, it was not money, it was not rescue. Real love was telling the truth when the truth was frightening. It was staying through difficult conversations. It was caring for children who carried old wounds. It was admitting mistakes without demanding quick forgiveness, and it was choosing the same family again, even after life revealed everything they had tried to hide. Life lesson: never judge a person by their body, job, clothes, or apparent wealth. True character is revealed through honesty, responsibility, kindness, and the way someone treats others when there is nothing to gain. Emotional question: would you stay and rebuild trust with someone you deeply loved if fear had caused them to hide such a life-changing truth from you? Call to action: share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more emotional and meaningful life stories.